One of the superpowers I've discovered now that I've crossed the 50-yard line in life, y'all, is I can catch myself before I spiral into a negative thought cycle. Not every time, but often enough to say, okay, this is growth, this is a gift, and this is body intelligence in real time. But let me tell you how I figured this out. I used to think when I experienced fear, overwhelm, and self doubt that it was just mental. Something I had to think my way out of, like using affirmations and all the things. But then I started noticing patterns. Whenever I would have these thoughts, there was always a dull ache either in my chest, in the middle of my chest. Before my thoughts spiraled, there was either nervous energy in my body. I'd catch myself pulling out my hair on the side. Hello, trichotillomania. That's a official name for hair pulling. But anywho, that's an episode for another day. I say all of that to say my body was trying to tell me something was coming before my mind even knew it. And this morning was a perfect example. Like it tried to take me out this morning, and I was like, not today. So here's the thing, when frustration, overwhelm, or anxiety starts to bubble up, I've learned to pause and move my body intentionally, not just push through and keep working, not just push through and by finding something to distract me, but actually tune into what my body is telling me. And whether it's that dull ache in my chest, the tension creeping up in my shoulders, or that nervous energy I may feel throughout my body, take that as my sign to pause. Because here's the thing, too. I think many of us, we try to push through it and it ends up making you feel worse. And so for me, my first point is to check in with my body, because before a thought spirals, your body feels it. Before it becomes a thing, before it becomes I'm not good enough, before it becomes I'll never be able to do XYZ, you feel it first. That's science. That's just not a Candida thing. And here's the thing, everyone's body has its own language. Maybe for you, it's tension in your jaw, tightness in your chest. One of my participants in my workshop this week told me you could visibly see their face getting a little red. Maybe it's a restless feeling in your legs, but whenever you feel it, that's your body trying to get your attention before your thoughts take over. So for me, getting in tune with your pattern of where you feel things in your body is a cheat code for navigating inner conflict or conflict with other people. This morning, it was like a dull throb on the left side of my head. And here's the thing, I rarely get headaches. So that was my cue, like, girl, something is off. Let's stretch it out. And so when I began to move the energy physically in my body, and I did it right on my yoga mat, but you don't even have to do it on your yoga mat. Sometimes I'm in my bed or sometimes I'm sitting in my office chair. And as I begin to stretch and move, the tension begins to subside in my body, along with me doing deep breathing. And I've been saying this a lot in my leadership trainings. Before a conversation goes sideways or your emotions start to hijack the moment and you saying this and that, your body already knows what's up. Your nervous system doesn't lie. So tune in. It's so important that you start to get familiar with where you carry tension. So I often ask my leaders, when you are about to have a difficult conversation or when you are in conversation, where do you feel the discomfort in your body? That is your first cue that it's time to interrupt the signal with movement. Now, sometimes that movement is deep breaths. Sometimes it's the rolling of your shoulder, or sometimes I've been doing head rolls too, and that's been helpful for me. But release it from the body and watch the thought follow. And once the thought follows that, you can be open to thoughts that will serve you in a much more healthier and productive way. And let me say this, because I know someone needs to hear it. I call this my superpower at 50, because no matter your age, 40s, 50s, whatever, you are never too late to learn something or to discover a new level about yourself. So you got to keep showing up, right? You are not running out of time to learn something new or to change the way you're showing up in the streets. And I know that sometimes, or at least for me and a lot of the people that I work with, sometimes you're thinking, because of my age, this must be it. There's nothing more for you to learn or unlearn or do or experience. And so this was powerful for me, because I'm like, while I feel as if I've been moving into this space for the last 2 to 3 years, today was the day that I recognized it as a new superpower for me. And we can't take away from the fact that, listen, if you are in your 40s or 50s, you dealing with perimenopause, okay? Perimenopause be trying to snatch my edges and sabotage my good energy. But listen, okay, I'm a Brooklyn girl. And one thing is true, Brooklyn girls don't go down without a fight, okay? She may show up with a bit of drama like she did, probably tried to this morning. But after a couple of deep breaths and a couple of stretches, she ain't winning the day, and tomorrow ain't looking good either. And here's another thing, y'all. On a serious note, science backs this up. This ain't a kid and dear thing, okay? There is research that backs this up, that when your brain and body ain't on the same page, it can trigger all sorts of emotional chaos, anxiety, stress, even depression. They often start when your body is sending signals, but your mind isn't interpreting those signals clearly. And so that disconnect, that's what keeps you stuck in that loop of overwhelm. You're reacting to your body's signals. Also, I want to make sure I'm operating in a space of integrity too. If you are in your 40s and 50s, and of course, you're feeling things in your body, and for women, there are some hormonal fluctuations that we have to deal with, but make sure you go to the doctor and get your levels checked, because sometimes the anxiety being present or feeling down in the dumps and depressed and all the things, it's because there may be an imbalance going on that you're thinking it's because you're not doing enough. But the reality is there could be something internal happening. Something else that's been helpful for me is understanding how important it is to recognize how I speak to myself about myself. So let's talk a little bit about language, because anxiety is often present for me. Now, notice I didn't say I have anxiety. I've learned to stop saying I have anxiety and say anxiety is present, because when you say I have anxiety, it becomes an identity. It becomes a label, a fixed thing. But when I say anxiety is present, I create distance between who I am and anxiety. I remind myself that I am not the feeling. I'm simply experiencing it in the moment. And for me, that subtle shift, that's power. That's ownership. That's leading yourself through the moment to know that, yeah, I'm experiencing this at the moment, but I have the power to get myself out of it. And here's the thing, someone told me this, and I'll never forget it. They said, you can't outthink your way out of a problem with the same mind and energy that created it. And what that means to me is sometimes it's not about thinking your way out. Sometimes it's about moving your way through, breathing, stretching, shaking off what's stuck. And again, when I release it from my body, I create space for healthier thoughts to show up. So if you're listening to this and you're at a crossroads, feeling a little overwhelmed or anxiety is present, you're doubting your timeline, you're doubting yourself, let me remind you, your power is always found in the present moment. Get in tune with your body. Learn how to move your body, learn how to stretch, learn how to speak to yourself with more compassion. And remember, just because a thought visits doesn't mean it gets to stay. Talk soon, y'all.